Oh, well, good evening, West Ham fans. Now, could Tim's Brazilian mission be just about looking at players? Yes, everybody, us on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Hope your evening's going well. An extra video, you lucky bastards. Just to bring you some thoughts, some maybe news, maybe rumours, but just some thoughts. Don't forget tonight we've got Alex and his takeover TikTok. No, his TikTok takeover. I will get that right one day. He'll be talking about can Moyes defeat the undefeated in Xabi Alonso. Obviously, we welcome Bayer Leverkusen, the new Bundesliga champions, to the London Stadium on Thursday for the Europa League second leg. Obviously, 2-0 down on aggregate. It's a big mountain to climb, but we'll see what happens. We shall see. And then we turn obviously, we've got the 5 more games this season in the Premier League. Then we talk about the summer. Obviously, we've been linked to lots of players already, but there is a question mark. And, is the elephant in the room, who's going to be in the dugout? Now, we've been linked to a lot of players, a lot of head coaches, and that's the thing. And whatever will happen, whoever is in the dugout next season, and I keep reiterating it, will be a head coach. And it's not a semantics thing, tomato. The role of a head coach is very different from the role of a manager. The head coach works underneath the director of football. The head coach would not have a veto on transfers. They work alongside the director of football to put together a philosophy, which they work together. And the director of football works on recruitment, and the head coach looks after coaching. Now, currently, we know that Tim is in Brazil. He missed the Fulham game because of this Brazilian scouting mission, which, in the midst of still playing games, it's a bit strange, maybe. Don't know. We've got a situation now. We have, the Brazilian league is 4 or 5 months in now to it. So just seems a bit random just to go off in it a little bit, possibly, rather than see one or two. He's missed a Premier League game, which, for the director of football to miss a Premier League game, I'm literally purely speculating there. But according to some reports, it might not be just players that Tim is recruiting or Tim is looking at in his Brazilian trip. And I'm not talking about the ladies. I'm talking about coaches, head coaches. According to some reports, they have linked us with the Palmeiras head coach, not manager, Abel Ferreira, as a potential West Ham mainstay in terms of coming into the dugout next year for the mighty Hammers. It's an interesting one. For anyone who doesn't know, Abel was a Portuguese right back professionally, and then he moved into. I've got it all here for me. He looks very serious, very intense, doesn't he? He was a Portuguese player. Played for Braga, Vitória Guimarães, Sporting. Made the Portuguese B side on a couple of occasions. Retired in 2011, then went almost immediately into coaching. He stayed at Sporting, a bit similar to some of the people we've been talking about. People like Arnie Slot. Yeah, the team he retired for. He then went into sort of coaching, and he did the same thing here. He basically finished his career at Sporting. He actually scored a goal against Man United in the Champions League in 2007, and he was actually called up to the Portuguese that season, the Portuguese national side, but didn't make any appearances, unfortunately. But as I said, he retired at the age of 32 due to injury, so reasonably early-ish in terms of retirement, and then immediately he worked within the Sporting junior squad in terms of their academy, as well as their reserves. He then had a falling out with the chairman of Sporting, and then was appointed Braga B into the Braga reserves as their head coach. And then led them to fourth place, I think, in his first season in charge. And basically, yes, in essence, he went from Braga B to the full Braga side, then got them to fourth in the first full season, qualified for the Europa League. I think they got knocked out in the third qualifying round, and was at Braga for a couple of years. Then went to PAOK, the Greek side, and they reportedly paid over £2 million for him for his services. Didn't have a great time in PAOK, really. Albeit, from a European perspective, not so much. From a domestic side, he had a decent season. He was in charge for PAOK's club record, 51 games unbeaten. We're only about 43 at the moment, but 51. And then left to take on the head coach role of the Brazilian club Palmeiras. Now, he was the first non-Brazilian coach bear with, since 1925 when he signed in 2000. So for over 75 years, 95 years, they hadn't had a non-Brazilian coach, a foreign coach, and they had Paulo, and he had, well, he's had a phenomenal time, in all honesty, during his time in Palmeiras. He's won multiple titles. He's won, I've got it all here. Where is it? The honours list. He's won at Palmeiras. He's won the Copa Brasilia Serie A twice. He's won the Copa do Brasil. He's won the Super Cup de Brazil. He's won the Copa Libertadores twice. The Recopa Scudaminiacera once. He won the Campeonato Paulista 3 times, and also runners-up in the Club World Cup. He's won Coach of the Year twice in Brazil. He's won South American Coach of the Year. He's won countless things in his time in Palmeiras. In fact, he was due at the end of last season to go to, I think it was Qatar, and become the world's most well-paid football coach. But he wasn't. He was also touted for the Brazilian job as well, and was also touted and looked at as a potential for Graham Potter's replacement. And they obviously went for De Zerbi. In terms of his style of football, doing a little bit of reading up on him. He has quite an organised defensive structure. Not like an aggressive defensive style, but just well structured. Defensively very strong, zonal marking. He has been called the new Jose Mourinho sometimes, but what he does have is things like his strategy emphasizes sort of pressing when there's certain triggers, and one of them being backwards passing. If the team plays backwards, pounces and makes sure they then puts a lot of pressure on them in fear of a long ball. A bit like what Fulham did to us, really, on Sunday. As soon as we took the ball back to the defence and then back to Fabianski, they pounced. Very, very similar. He is very flexible in terms of sort of formations and strategy. Usually plays either a wing-back formation, or a 4-2-3-1 based on the opposition and what he wants to do. But what he makes sure he's defensive, they're very strong to start with. And has quite direct build-up play as well. So quick transitions, they call it vertical movement, which basically means going forward. And they sometimes, and again, a little bit, I don't know, it's not all mustard, really. He likes a long ball sometimes, but I don't mind it as long as it's a successful long ball and it works. But in the final third, the wing backs are overloading. They try and get as many people in the box as possible to create as many goal scoring opportunities as possible. So yeah, he sounds a bit of a dream. Defensively, very well organised, adaptable, plays a direct attacking play of football and exploits those sort of transitional moments. That's sort of the main takeaways. I've read a few articles about and seen, that's what I've taken away from it. So obviously don't know too much about him. But, it's an interesting one to add to the list, isn't it? And sometimes when you look at things too much, you put two and two together and make five. But European-based coach, we have a lot of interest in Brazil. We have a lot of scouts out in Brazil. We have a network out in Brazil. Why does Tim go over midway? I appreciate going and seeing a game or whatever, but going over to miss the Fulham game, I don't know. It's just weird, isn't it? Just weird. It's just a bit weird. But we'll keep an eye. It's another name to add to the list. As I said, we've been linked with the likes of Paulo Fonseca, Arnie Slot, Ruben Amorim. I mean, he's very similar to Ruben Amorim, really. Roger Schmidt. We've been linked with Kovic. We've been linked with Erin Ezim from Borussia Dortmund. We've been linked with a dozen managers / head coaches, and Abel is another one to add to the list potentially. Anyway, I heard the rumour, had a bit of a digging about, thought I'd present it to you, and you can do what you want with the information you want. But we'll see. Could he be on the list? Would be a very left field choice, potentially. He does have European experience, but no Premier League experience. He has experience in the Brazilian League, which is interesting. He's been very successful in the Brazilian League as well, which is, again, very interesting. The only slight fly in the ointment is I think we're literally slap bang in the middle of the Brazilian season, so it'll probably cost a fair whack to get him out of his contract, because the Brazilian season, I'm right, is January to December, or it follows a more calendar year, I believe. So, yes. Anyway, let me know what you think of the comments. I'm sure you'll be going and scurrying away and looking for some more information about him, but I just thought I'd bring it to you as soon as I got it. Don't forget, Alex tonight, TikTok takeover. Can Moyes defeat the undefeated? Check him out 9:00 tonight and all that good stuff. But until then, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, and come on, you bloody Irons. Irons!